Okay, everybody, we'll get started. Thank you for joining us today for this presentation on interactive manuals, rethinking the written manual. My name is Scott Charles, and I am the manager of training services here at Ken Cook Company. Just a little bit of background about myself before we get going. I've been with Ken Cook for about seven and a half years now. Started out in instructional design, and I now have the privilege to work with a team of instructional designers, architects, and writers to put together really cool training experiences, courses, and training programs with many different types of clients. As you can see, my contact information is there below. It'll be on the screen again at the end of the presentation. You can also visit us at kencook.com for more information. And just a little bit more about Ken Cook before we jump in. Here at Ken Cook Company, if you don't know us yet, we are a printer. We develop training and we offer creative services, among other things, but those are kind of our three core services that we offer. So if you have any interest or need in any of those things, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to help. On the screen there, you'll see it says, we serve the marine, automotive, manufacturing, and construction industries. That's kind of our bread and butter, and many of the industries that we've been working with for our over 80 years in business. But we do work with other different industries, different types of companies, especially within training. We definitely have worked in healthcare, retail, and other areas. So we're happy to, again, talk about any training solutions if you are interested, or printing or creative services as well. Before we actually get into the bulk of the presentation, if you have any questions during this presentation, please jot them into the chat on the bottom there. Just type them in. I have Liz, who's a member of our team, who will be reviewing those questions, and I'll try to put in little pauses as I go through to allow questions if they arise. But I'll also have a Q&A at the end and a discussion at the end. So please feel free to jump in at any point and put that question in the chat down below. Additionally, I will have at least 1 or 2 points where I ask a question of you. So if you can be kind enough to contribute and jot a few comments in there, I'll pull them up and take a look at them myself as well. So again, thank you for joining us today, and we will jump in. This presentation, by the way, is a presentation I've been giving for a number of years now, though I most recently updated it based on feedback that I've received over the years. Additionally, added some new content to address, new technologies and new kind of trends within the industry. So if you've seen this presentation before, it might sound a bit familiar, but there should be some new information as well. The first section of this presentation is about traditional manuals. So many of the manuals that we all know and love, we're going to talk a little bit about the history of them. Then we will get into digital manuals, what they are, how they're used, their impacts, and then their applications, and then we'll get into the Q&A. Okay, so traditional manuals, a brief history and review. So I'll start with this quote from Roger Bridgman, who is a former curator at the London Science Museum. "Instructions are there to compensate for the inabilities of machines by employing the abilities of users, and therefore tell you something about the state of both at the time they were produced." And I really like that quote right there, because especially if you look at these examples you see down here, when you look at these covers, they really kind of bring you back to a time and place when these were put out. And so if you look on the far left there, the Box Brownie camera, Kodak camera manual, they are basically, to most people, considered some of the first kind of like groundbreaking, well-established, well-done manuals that were put out for consumers early in the last century. Really cool manual. If you ever have a chance to check out a digital version online, I suggest doing so, or if you can get your hands on a physical copy, if you can find one, pretty neat presentation of a manual. Manuals really need to focus on the needs of the end user, and I think all these manuals definitely implore different things throughout them to do so. But if you look at the second one there, I would imagine most people would be able to call that out, that that's an IKEA manual. And I put that one in there specifically because it's a lot different than the rest. It's a little more unconventional. As you might know, it doesn't include any text. And that's kind of for a few reasons, but the most significant reason is that IKEA is a international brand. They are sold just about everywhere in the world. And to produce manuals in every single language where they sell their products would be extremely expensive, prohibitive, and just, really, really not a simple thing to do. So IKEA manuals are very signature in the sense that they're generally all images or all drawn graphics. They use that little gentleman you see there as their example of what to do and what not to do, which is pretty intriguing way to do a manual, obviously. So we jump over to the one after that, and that's actually a manual that we've developed here at Ken Cook for John Deere, who's one of our customers. This is a good example of a conventional operator's manual, which we are very used to working on here and working with here at Ken Cook. But it really focuses on the need of the end user, and I think it's a really good example of that. And then the last one I kind of threw in there just for fun is a Commodore 64 manual, which if any of you are old enough here to know, Commodore 64 from the 80s, one of the first mass-produced computers. And talking about, again, time and place, that cover really gives you a sense of the time. It screams 80s, so pretty interesting. And so, over time, manuals, the layout, the length, the size, and the medium changes, and it changes with us. It changes with our needs. It changes with the products. It changes just with society. And so there's significant impact from all those things on manuals. And before I move forward, any questions or thoughts on this? Okay. So give you an opportunity to maybe provide a little bit of input. If you go to the chat down there, what are the types of guides and manuals you use, experience, or create in your everyday or professional life? Because there's a lot of different types of manuals out there. There's a lot of applications for them. There's a lot of different needs. Feel free to throw a few in the chat. I'll pull up the chat here. I don't see anything coming through on the chat. Do you, Liz? It's okay if not.
No, I'm still thinking even.
Okay.
I feel like just about everything comes with some sort of instruction, whether it's good or bad.
Yep.
A lot of QR codes these days.
Mm-hmm. Well, here, I'll jump ahead. So here's some popular examples. So maintenance manuals, assembly instruction manuals, troubleshooting related manuals, a lot of regulatory things out there, service technical manuals, manuals that include specifications, operation related manuals, just specific diagrams. Sometimes you won't get a full manual, you'll just get a sheet with a breakdown or a diagram, setup, warranty, installation, et cetera, et cetera. So manuals have a real impact on all the products and parts of our lives. You'll find them everywhere. I think I'm up to about 2 or 3 oversized shoe boxes of manuals that I have in my basement. And I don't keep every manual I get for every product that I get, but I probably keep most of them and have over the years. It's fun. I actually just went through, my daughter helped me go through all these manuals to decide what's worth keeping. I realized a lot of items I've since sold or gotten rid of, so I figured I don't need the manual. But sometimes when I sell something like a piece of audio equipment or something technical, I'll have that manual and sell it with it, and that's important to a lot of people. So just kind of interesting.
Something as simple as like a board game. Like you need to know how to play the game, and the instructions that go along with that are important and can be useful in different ways than assembling something.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I just wanted to get people thinking about the types of manuals that they experience in their lives. So, okay, so another concept with regard to manuals is the idea of marketing and selling within manuals, or by utilizing manuals. So as time has gone on, manuals, their design, their layouts have gotten fancier. They've gotten more detailed. People use manuals today in their research for when they're buying, let's say, a piece of equipment, a product. They like to reference it even prior to owning it. So it's important that your manual, depending on the situation, is a marketing piece, or can be a marketing piece. There's a lot of ways to approach that. I have another quote here. Manuals used to be solely reference guides that would accompany a product. Increasingly, however, people will refer to a product's instructions to check out its technical specifications in advance of buying. The manual now is part of the purchase process, and that's Helene Schumacher. She's a BBC writer. And like I said, I probably spend a fair amount of time, I like researching products just for the fun of it, especially before I buy them. Dare I say it's a part-time hobby of mine, especially when it comes to a piece of electronic equipment. And so in addition to, digging through blogs and customer reviews and things of that nature, I go right into the manuals. And with the advent of AI, the AI tools that I use dig through those manuals, and I'll have them specifically dig through those manuals to find that information, because it's usually the most trustworthy source available. Any questions before I jump ahead? Okay. So let's talk about digital manuals, the reason we're here. What are the benefits? So another quote from Helene Schumacher: a successful instruction manual is one that's used as little as possible. It's kind of the supporting actress waiting in the wings. It's the product that's the hero, the one that the consumer wants to be engaging with, and it's the one that the manufacturer wants the consumer to be engaging with. The instruction manual facilitates that relationship, and if it is an effective relationship, it has to be simple. I thought that was another poignant thing that she pointed out. So there's a lot of information, a lot of detail, and a lot of manuals, but at the end of the day, people are going to manuals because they want to typically find the information that they need quickly. They're usually going there for a one-time or a two-time thing, or just when they're assembling something. So it needs to be simple, it needs to be to the point, it needs to be accessible when you need it. And so we're going to talk a bit about that as we go through some of the benefits of digital manuals here. Okay, why digital? So as I just kind of mentioned, accessibility and availability to end users. A piece of paper manual isn't always available. As I said earlier, mine are in my basement. It's not the most convenient place if I'm in the garage or working upstairs on my computer, or maybe not even at home. When I need to access information about a piece of equipment or a product that I'm trying to deal with at that time. And so having a digital version of your manual online makes it accessible on your phone, your tablet, your computer. It could be built into a human machine interface. There's a lot of different opportunities there. So just having it online is huge when your users need to get to the information that they need to see. And with that being said, just-in-time training is something that we consider when we're doing online or digital manuals. So again, when you need to have that information at the time, that's what just-in-time is. And so by being able to just go on your phone, go on your tablet, going to a website without having too many clicks, being able to search and find the information you're looking for or the training that you need, that can all be done through a digital manual. So that's a pretty important thing as well. So with digital manuals, you can meet the customer where they are and align with their preferences, behaviors, and current needs. Not everybody does great with a paper manual. I know I have some difficulties and struggles with using them from time to time, especially depending on their layout. As I said earlier, when we started this section, it needs to be simple. And for me, that's definitely true. And so some people are just better and they're used to going to a website. They're used to using search tools. They're used to using their mouse or their finger on whatever device that they're using. And so it gives another option, which, as we might talk about a little bit later too, digital manuals don't necessarily have to always, or should not always, replace the physical form. There are people that do prefer and still want and still need a printed version, but having the option of both is sometimes what's best. And with paper, with printed manuals, documentation is not always able to keep up with products and can become obsolete. So those manuals that are sitting in my basement, especially for computer related items, they're only really relevant for the time that I got the item. Things change on those products. Anything with a computer in it is typically changing over time, especially if it connects to the internet. And so there's also safety concerns, things that change, recalls, things of that nature that can impact the information that is in a printed manual. So we want to keep in mind that with a digital manual, that's all able to be updated and changed pretty much as needed. And so when a new update is available, depending on how you've deployed and how you have your digital manual, you can put that update out right away. You can potentially send notifications to your user base, whether it's through a website where this is accessed, through email, social media, other notifications, and that's really helpful. Any questions or comments? And I kind of alluded to this earlier, paper manuals don't always align with how a user consumes information. Like I said, some of us don't enjoy or don't do well going through a book, not great at finding what they need to in the index. Having easier search tools and other types of search is a really helpful way to find what's needed for some users.
I know with the just in time that you mentioned, that even if I know exactly where the manual is, like you said, you've got a shoebox, I've got a binder, and I might know exactly where it is, but it's faster for me to just Google it on my phone. And so even if I still have it, it's just that convenience of being able to pull it up in a second.
Yep, I agree. So a huge part of offering a digital manual is offering more than just graphics, pictures, and text. You can still offer all those things. In fact, you can offer them at higher scalable qualities, so you can take them even further than what's on print. But we can also have video as well. We can have interactive components. We can have 3D illustrations, links, many other things that you just can't put in print, right? So this is a really big consideration when we've talked to customers and worked on projects and building a digital manual, is having the ability to add video, having the ability to add 3D animation, or things that you can touch on and move and scroll and zoom. Really, really, really big advantage. And then just searchability in general, navigation. You can build and search, whether that's just a basic search using some type of AI tools, and just even the ability to scroll. It's nice to be able to scroll. It's not always fun flipping through a 600-700 page manual. I have some of those. They can be pretty daunting when you can just search. And like Liz says, you can just go online, type in what you need real quick, and find it without too much trouble. So search is another really big benefit to having a digital version of a manual. Multilingual, we talked about the approach earlier with IKEA. They basically avoid language altogether, but that is not always possible. In a lot of, if not most of the instances, it's definitely not possible. So multilingual options are very easy to produce on a digital scale. You're not having to obviously print so many of every language. So that's a big impact as well. And you can start off, let's say English is the prime language that you think most of your users are going to be in. Get that out when you have it ready, and then you can keep adding languages to the markets that you need to add them to. This goes true is true with printed manuals too, but you can develop templates depending on the tool that you're using for fast production. So especially if you have a particular product line that has very similar items, or if it is an operation manual where there is repeated steps, you can put templates together so you can produce versions of your manual or many manuals much faster and have those templates available to work from. Another cool function about digital manuals is building in social integrations. So forums and blogs, which is great. I've had a few situations where I was able to kind of go from the manual into a discussion board, which has been helpful because sometimes the manual doesn't have everything you need. And sometimes those forums or discussion boards can have people with technical expertise or people from the company, actual moderators in there who can provide additional information that goes beyond the manual or clarify something, which is really great as well. You can also have the integrated support services. So when the information isn't in the manual or the manual isn't everything that you need, you can get directly into the support that you need, whether that's through some type of chat, directing to a phone call, even video call in some instances. You can do all those things. So integrating different ways to go beyond what you're just seeing on screen or on the paper is a really great benefit to having a digital manual. So this is a real big one that we talk about with a lot of customers. Controlling and protecting your brand, your message, and your information. This decreases liability, and it provides official content instead of third-party content like YouTube or unofficial websites or blogs and things of that nature. And I can imagine we've all gone online to search for information and ended up at an unofficial source. And sometimes that's fine. Sometimes the unofficial source gives terrific information. Sometimes it's the only information. On a lot of older products, the company might not still be around, and that's the only option that you have. And in most instances, it can't be a problem, but there are definitely instances where it can be when it comes to safety in particular. There have been many instances where people took, unfortunately, poor advice and ended up getting harmed, or the product gets harmed, something gets broken. And so being the main source, the official source for the information that you're looking to provide and have out there is really important, because if you're not doing it, somebody else is. So if you don't have some type of digital presence with this information, that could be a big problem, again, depending on the product or service that you offer. But really being able to control that brand and message and information is really important. Any questions? Okay. So having a digital manual and something that is more than just graphics or images, it adds to a reduction in calls to customer service. We've definitely seen this experience with some of our customers. It's reduced the need for technicians to be dispatched out to users, reduces return rate. Again, you have the integrated support in there as needed. And just overall customer satisfaction generally increases when you offer these digital opportunities for manuals. So that is something to think about and keep in mind. The impact beyond the manual itself, beyond just the user experience initially, is down the line. How does this help? What else does this support? And this is kind of an obvious one. And I'm going to be careful saying this because I do work for a company that also prints manuals, but it does help you reduce or eliminate costs for manuals, right? When you have a digital version, and depending on what the manual is for, it gives you the opportunity to not print the manual. And again, you might need to still print a version. You still might have to include a printed version for legal reasons, for liability reasons, and or for people that just still want to experience and get the information that way. But you might not have to print as much. Or you can move to a print-on-demand function, which is, by the way, something we offer here at Ken Cook. So you can have your digital version And if people do want a printed version, they can go to a website, quickly and easily place an order for a printed version, and they can get one printed and sent to them. And so whether that's, warehousing a bulk of printed ones and sending them as needed, or just literally printing them right on demand, that is an option. But it definitely is a consideration. So if you are spending some money to put together your digital manuals, you can offset that typically by not having to print as many physical manuals. Another great thing about having a digital manual is utilizing analytics. So you can have built-in analytics to track, what your users are experiencing. Where are they going the most in the manual? What videos are they playing the most? What videos are they not playing, or what sections are they not using? Either way, you can get this information, these analytics from the digital manual, just like you would any other website, and it would help you determine, is this functional? Is this good? It's a great way to continue to keep developing your manual, which is another great thing about it. You don't have to make your manual and let it be stagnant. You can always keep updating, making changes, and improving it as needed. And so more recent thing that you can add to a digital manual is the inclusion of extended reality. So whether that's augmented reality, virtual reality, or mixed reality, and depending on the type of device you have, you can integrate these different technologies directly into a manual. And I'll go over an example of this in a little bit. But if you have, like those Ray-Bans that you see on the screen there, these are not Ray-Bans, but if you can be looking in an area, maybe looking at the product, maybe the machine or whatever it is, and seeing other information come up on screen in like an augmented reality situation, for example. And so this takes it even further than just videos, right? Or further than just 3D models. You're actually able to experience in the area you're in that information or that training or that discovery. So really, really cool application. And so, as we've talked about a little bit before, AI, artificial intelligence driven tools. So you can integrate data sets through OpenAI, Meta, Claude, many others out there now, or you can even create your own tool set or data set. You can really bring it to the next level. You can add voice assist tools like Siri, Alexa, Google, or develop your own as well. This is taking it even further. This is taking the basic idea of Google, maybe the AI tools you might use in a typical search, and implementing it into your actual manual. So it really keeps the user in your manual. They, again, not having to go elsewhere, not wanting to go elsewhere, offering these solutions that people might look for outside of your manual, especially if it was a printed manual, right in your manual. So AI is definitely another great advantage that you can take advantage of when you are developing your digital manual. And I will say, thus far, I've offered a lot of different ideas and options and benefits to digital manuals. This isn't an all or nothing situation. Depending on your needs, some of these tools may or may not be helpful or really a benefit to your user base, but there are definitely things to consider. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some actual applications of digital manuals. Before I do that, are there any questions? Okay. Thanks to everybody who's stuck around this long. We're a little over halfway through, maybe even further. So some examples of digital manuals. So I have two on screen here. These are developed by Ken Cook, us. On the left here, we have our Ken Cook Cookbook, which some of you might have seen before. This is a digital manual, and we actually used our own CMS tool to develop it. It's an internal tool that we've developed to build training and digital manuals. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. Liz, do you see it on screen or no?
No, I do not. I just see your presentation.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to just change my shared screen here. Bear with me one sec. I can do this whole window, I think. Do you see it now?
I see like the slide in a browser,
Oh,
but I don't see the live site.
sorry, I might have done the wrong one. Let's do this. Here we go. How about now?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, sorry about that. So we put together, our training services team, we put together this cookbook that we put out a few months ago now. It does come in print form as well, but this is the digital version of it. And I just wanted to go over some very basic functions of it. This is a pretty simple functioning digital manual. There's not a lot of bells and whistles in it, at least not at this point. We're probably going to keep adding to it as time goes on. We have an index here on the left, which is easy to go through. You can select the pages you want to go through. We have, obviously, images and text with instructions. We have specific callouts like you'd see in a piece of heavy equipment manual or something like that.
Timely recipe for the time of year.
Yeah, I just randomly clicked on it. This is a good one. I kind of want to go eat it after this. We have search built in, which we talked about, really helpful. A glossary of terms, which is also searchable, and a link to resources as well. So this takes you to our social media and other places. There's a lot of content in this. It did take a fair amount of time to pull together, but when it actually came to laying it all out, it was pretty straightforward and simple. So this is definitely something that is possible for you to do, whether it's with our tool or many other tools out there that can do similar things, which we'll talk about some of those options in a bit. Let me switch screens back here. Back to the presentation.
Yeah, it's not full screen, but I see it in the tab.
Okay, cool. Okay. I'm not going to pull it up for today, but we have another example that we put together of a very simple training digital manual, online digital manual that we developed for kind of a generic outboard water pump for how to replace certain things on that. I'm going to go to the next one. Oop. Okay. Liz, did that progress to the next slide?
I'm still on the examples.
I definitely messed up how I had this working. Sorry.
Now I think I see it. I see iFixit and yep, the
Okay.
website example.
Now you see it?
AR example, yep.
iFixit. Okay, I'm on the right screen now. I apologize.
You're good.
This is a cool example. This is not something that we developed. This is iFixit. Some of you might have seen this before. They've been around for decades at this point. iFixit was developed because there was a need for the user base for repair instructions for consumer products. And so really popular products on here are like Apple products, Apple computers, phones, etc. But they've expanded to just about everything, consumer electronic level, whether it's cameras, so many things. So if you haven't checked out this website, I definitely would. It's really, really interesting. Be aware that these are not official instructions from the manufacturers, though. So these are third parties. These are people that are developing these that are not necessarily people that work for the company. But they do quite a good job in presenting the information. they empower users to develop manuals and share them publicly. So if you have an opportunity, I'm not going to jump into it much right now. Liz, do you see the website on screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Go through here. You can find a guide. I'll just grab something random. Ooh, okay. They have gaming consoles. So you can go to a gaming console, select it, find specific guides for the specific thing you might need to replace, component you need to replace in there. It lets you know how long it will take to do this repair, the level of difficulty, and then it takes you through step by step. Very straightforward digital manual. Images with on-screen graphics or indicators and text. I don't know if I've ever seen video on any of these, but I haven't been in here in a while, so there could be video on some. But it's pretty step-by-step information. They also include the tools that you might need, which they sell. That's how they make money. Pretty smart way to do so. But I think this is a great example of how you can put out a digital manual, make it publicly facing, easily accessible, easy to search, easy to use. Okay, so let's jump back to augmented reality. I have a quote here: AR provides an effective digital interface that displays the content visually during initial setup, configuration, troubleshooting, regular maintenance, or for demonstration of proper usage. Augmented reality delivers an immersive experience, enabling the user to feel self-reliant, empowered, and in control, translating directly into a positive customer experience. Very true statement. Again, augmented reality takes it to the next level. So, if there's a number of different glasses that you can purchase, I think this example I have on here is Apple's. This can be an expensive endeavor or a more expensive endeavor. So depending on what you are looking to do in the situation, this might not be for everybody, but there are definitely situations where you can employ these or other glasses to take this to the next level. And so in this situation, it's kind of hard to see, but when we're looking at this oven, this stove here, through the augmented reality, through the glasses, you're actually seeing a tear apart, tear down of all the parts in it. There's other ways to experience this though too. You could utilize beacons, QR codes. There's a lot of different integrations that you can do with your products in particular, so that if somebody doesn't necessarily know where they need to go to get the information, you can have a QR code on your product, so it'll take you to that manual or to that information. If you use little objects like beacons and you use a phone with that, for example, it could pull up and trigger information or take you into a particular part of the digital manual as well. You can use location-based services for that, so depending on where you are and what you're doing. So a lot of, and I'm just touching upon this very broadly, but a lot of potential opportunities to take it to the next level, increase that customer experience, and give them a bit more control of the repair or of the information or the setup, whatever it might be. Any questions? Okay. So this is just a smattering of various tools that you could consider to put together a digital manual. Some of these aren't even necessarily developed for what you would consider a digital manual, but there are tools that you can use that will do a lot of the same functions. Some of them are simple, some of them are more complicated. I'm not going to go into them all here, but take a screenshot, take note of some of these if you are interested in discovering some different ways you can put together a digital manual. We are happy to talk to anybody on this call about some of these options further, or even our option as well through Ken Cook to put together a digital manual. But there's a lot out there. So these are kind of the ones that I've seen people use for, I would say, some more basic digital manuals, but even then you can kind of integrate other technologies or use this as a start as well. Any questions? Okay. Well, good, because this is our actual Q&A portion. I'm just pulling up. I don't see any questions written right now. What if we did this? Oh, do you know what, Liz? I had the option by default that said let contributors send messages. Oh no, it was turned on. Okay.
Yeah, I think it turned on earlier.
Okay.
I was checking that as well.
Thank you. Does anybody?
It's so straightforward.
Yeah. Thanks. Does anybody have any questions or comments at this time? Any thoughts? Well, I really do thank you all for taking the time out of your busy days to check out this presentation. If you would like more information, you're definitely welcome to reach out. Let me put my information on the screen here. Oh, something just came through. Oh, Jason, thank you. You are very welcome. Please reach out. We're happy to talk in more detail. We're happy to give a custom version of this presentation or break things down even more. Actually, this doesn't necessarily have my contact information. I have to go to the other page. Speed read. Okay, here we go. So yeah, reach out if you have any questions, comments, or you want to talk a bit more about any of this. You know, digital manuals to us, they're very exciting. There's so many different possibilities and uses for them. There's so many different technologies that you can take advantage of. Yeah, we'd love the opportunity to work on something with you, or just share ideas. So that's all I got. Thank you everybody for attending today, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks.